Who are the Soulbound? The Soulbound are a group of individuals that the gods created a pact with back in the Age of Myth. These are individuals that they would take their soul, and if they survived the entwining spells that they cast upon them, would be given great power. The purpose of the Soulbound was to serve the god while also being defenders of the realm. The major advantage of becoming a Soulbound with this pact created by Sigmar and the rest of the Pantheon was that the souls would be intertwined between all the different Soulbound. So together they would become quite a force that could do some smaller scale missions as well as great tests of might across the realms. During the Age of Myth, they tended to be a group of heroes that worked through like big Herculean feats and things like that. During the Age of Chaos, they kind of disappeared, kind of fell off because the gods were just all over the place. But then during the Age of Sigmar, Sigmar had asked the other gods if they wanted to participate in Soulbound again to create more Soulbound that could help do things like protect the new city of Brightspear, or to help establish a new settlement within Saish during the Soul Wars. Some gods weren't necessarily keen on working together with Sigmar again to create more Soulbound. A god that was instrumental in that initial pantheon during the Age of Myth was Nagash. There are Soulbound that are even part of Death's army. There are Nighthaunt, Soulblight Gravelords, Wights, the skeletons, and there are even the Flesh Eater courts are part of it. Gorka Morka also has his own crude type of soul binding, where there are Troggoth, there are Uruks of the different kinds, Hobgrots, regular Grots, Ogres, that work together in a similar fashion as the Soulbound, though their powers tend to be more about bullying each other. Someone has to be the boss and get the rest of the group to move forward. There are more traditional Soulbound, destruction-based races as well. One of the downsides to becoming a Soulbound is that there is the thought that your soul is gone when you die. You basically gain immortality as a Soulbound, as well as a bunch of other superhuman feats that they could accomplish through their soul fire, as well as just their long overall life. So if you died as a Soulbound, that was kind of it for you. At least that's the theory right now. If you die as a Soulbound, your soul goes nowhere, which is why some different races take a different approach towards soul binding. Idenith are seclusionists, so they don't tend to work for the greater picture. So whatever they do when they do become a Soulbound has to be something that gives some sort of advantage to the Idenith. Among the free cities of Sigmar, we're basically seen as a hero, like a legend. So it's something that comes with a lot of infamy. If you are a Sylvaneth, it's actually really sad because your soul basically doesn't come back. All your past experiences don't come back. No god would even dare ask a Sylvaneth to become a Soulbound, except for Alario, which causes her great pain in her heart to know that someone is leaving her, basically her spirit song. Fire Slayers can also become Soulbound, even though Grimnir is dead, so it's kind of weird for them to serve a god that isn't Grimnir, but you can also make a deal with the gods when you become a Soulbound, so they could even request a bunch of Urgold for their lodge, and if the god decided, hey, I want this person as part of my binding, they will accomplish that for them. So there are a lot of advantages to becoming a Soulbound: immortality, special abilities, the ability to kind of basically be above the rest of the mortals. And that's what's really cool about them and why they work really well in their RPG system, Age of Sigmar Soulbound, which I really suggest if you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or anything like that. I find the Soulbound RPG system created by Cubicle 7 real fun and real easy to get into. All of my tabletop RPG friends, they are getting more into Age of Sigmar specifically because of Soulbound. And it's actually our primary tabletop pen and paper RPG that we run now. There's a lot of lore in those books. It's really exciting to read the stuff and the stories you can play. You don't have to have a whole army. You can just be one dude. And because so many races are able to work together in this, and your missions are focused on the gods less than the factions, there's a lot of interesting takes that you can have with your story.